Hey there, BookTube. Noah. Everyone who reads it must converse. And thanks for coming by the channel. It is very cool to see y'all. Today, I do have a tag for you, and this is an original tag. This is a tag that I have been kicking around and thinking about putting out there for a bit, and it really got, at me to finalize it and to share it with the community because it is about something that we don't talk about in tags and something that the community does as a whole all the time, and everybody loves it. And this is the buddy read tag. This is all about getting together with other booktubers and sharing our passion of reading. This is one of the most awesome aspects of the community of BookTube. Something that, on BookTube newbie tags, people say, yeah, I'm joining BookTube because people in my life don't read. People in my life don't talk about books, and I want to talk about books, so that's why I start my channel. That's like a common answer to that question, right? But one of the most wonderful aspects of BookTube is not just talking and sharing and having responses and having that conversational aspect about your reading. It's actually reading books with other people, and those sometimes private conversations, sometimes public if we put it out in a video where we're just kind of talking through stuff, where we read books together, right? It's so good. So let's jump into it, and I'll acclimate y'all to this tag the way that I have formulated it. Hope you enjoy it, and here we go. Number one is accountability. Do you like buddy reads? Now, buddy reads are kind of a double-edged sword, right? First thing is buddy reads are wonderful because you might use a buddy read to partner with somebody or a couple people and get that big book that's on your shelf, something that you've wanted to read for years, but just sat there and looked at you to get that done, right? Because once we enter into an agreement with someone, you have that level of accountability, and you won't DNF it, and you will actually do it, and all that kind of stuff. It makes it fun to get into something that might be intimidating, something like that, right? But also, in the same breath, you're less apt to DNF a book. Hey, what if you don't like it? What if you're halfway through it and you're just like, oh, this is a slog. I can't believe this. I want to read other stuff. But you don't want to, bow out of the buddy read, things like that. So there can be that kind of double-edged sword aspect of buddy reading, and that's the first prompt to kind of explore your ideas on that. I think that has been altogether a wonderful experience for me. I've gotten some big books done in that way, doing Anna Karenina, Against the Day. I did that with a group of people. The Recognitions just recently did that with Mark Nash, and Intellectual Reads, and it was just fun. And the Grim Reader, Kathy Grimm. So number two is sharing. Is there an ideal size for buddy reads? For buddy reads or group reads? Is there an ideal size for that? I think so. The smaller the better as far as my reading style, because I like to really talk about books. I like to really talk about it as I'm going through it, really get into it, really explore ideas, throw out ideas even though I don't know what is coming and I don't know what's going on, but just to say, well, I think the author's doing this. I think the narrative is leading us this way, that kind of stuff. So I love a lot of talk, a lot of interaction, and that happens, I see, more pointedly with a smaller amount of people, even one-on-one. Happens better one-on-one, and as the group gets bigger, there's less of that kind of talking as you go kind of thing, because one, people don't stay on the same page all the time. Life happens, right? So the more people, the more apt they are all to be at different places. And then two, there's that kind of group thing where when there's a lot of people listening and you know that a lot of people are going to hear what you say, you don't want to say anything that might be wrong. So people don't talk just because they might not want to be wrong. And guess what? We're all wrong. We're all going to be wrong. That's part of the fun, is to be in a certain kind of place and have it twist on you, or to not really see what's coming, or to not really know what a narrative is doing until it actually delivers, right? So, happy buddy reading. Number 3, duration. Are shorter works or longer works, page count, better for buddy reading for you? Ideally, like for you, would you rather do a buddy read with a shorter work or a longer work? I've done all different size reads in as buddy reads, and I think that the shorter works might be more fun depending on what kind of work it is. Something like the As I Lay Dying buddy read with Codex Cantina and Yasmin at To the Lit House. That was a blast. We knocked it out. We read it in like 5 days or something, and it was constant talking. The night that we were reading, we were talking about the different chapters, and the next day we were kind of going over what we had read the night before and exploring it, and then digging in the next evening. It was just fantastic. But also there is a wonderful amount of conversation and to be had for big books that do a lot with their narrative. And Mark Nash and I had a wonderful back and forth and intellectual reads as well in our recognitions buddy read. So I really enjoyed that. And yeah, there we go for that one. Number 4, community. There are many types of readers. Share a meeting of the minds. So when we had read, I've read all kinds of things with these group reads. But when I sat down and read the Borges fictions and the Borges, the Aleph, those collections with Yasmin at To the Lit House, it was fantastic. The kinds of things that we got to, and being able to explore what Borges is doing, me from a mental kind of going for the thought experiment side of Borges, bringing in these esoteric ideas and kind of exploring that, and Yasmin able to be right there in that, but also bring this Argentinian culture because she is Argentinian. So it was a wonderful thing for us to have this back and forth about that. I think we were uniquely fitted for reading Borges together, and it was just an amazing experience. And it's not done. I mean, we still have a few of the collections to go through. Brody's Report, the Book of Sand, things like the later works of Borges. So I can't wait to do more. Number 5 is perspectives. There are many types of readers. Share a difference in perspectives. So number 5 is the flip side to number 4, right? When you have a buddy read and there's someone in the buddy read or a couple in the group read that sees things completely different than you do. And that is super fun and fruitful as well, right? I remember last year when we were doing our Portrait of the Artist as a Young Man, group read along, whatever it is, Codex Cantina and I, and Lucas from Bits of Lit was in that one as well. And, Lucas was just like, how pretentious is this? When he got to the fifth chapter, and I can see it, and it was just, but it was so different than our kind of exploration of it. Also, in the at the beginning of the year, January, there was the 100 Years of Solitude. That was Danny at Spinelli Speaks, Summer at Cozy Reading with Quaker Cats, and Christy Louise at Dostoevsky in Space, me, and Una from the Codex Cantina. And we had some wild, wild conversation. And Ami at open parentheses, close parentheses. What a great channel. And we had some great conversation, and we were going all through it. And then during the live, you can check it out on my channel, there is definite differences in perspective. Summer did not like the book at all. Danny did not like the book at all, I don't think, either. And there might be varying degrees of that. Ami and I, it is a reread for us, and we loved it. And we also can see the perspective of why somebody might not like reading about certain subject matter. And it's how different readers take what they're reading, right? It's very, very fun to explore those kind of things. Number 6, challenges. Share a private or public read that you had that was a challenge, maybe challenged by another person, that was out of your comfort zone. So I for this one personally, that makes me think about the Jane Austen July from last year, where I read Pride and Prejudice, because I never read any romance. I've never read any Jane Austen, and I probably wouldn't have if it wasn't for that reading challenge. And I really enjoyed myself. I mean, Jane Austen is a wonderful writer. The dialogue is fantastic. Such nuanced dialogue, and this subtext, you can just sense in Darcy's dialogue that he has very little tact. It's so good. And so I'm reminded of Amy and Simon, BookTube with Simon and Amy. That's the name of the channel. What a freaking hilarious channel it is, too. BookTube with Simon and Amy. He was challenged by KD Books to read this just insane novel. I can't remember what the name of it is now, but he does a review of it, and it is completely bat shit crazy. Okay, like, it is insanity. You could tell he didn't like the book, but he did this wonderfully hallucinogenic review of it, and it was a farce, the whole thing. The challenge and the response and the review and everything was just a farce, and it was completely fantastic. So, name one of your own, right? Number 7 is events. What is your favorite reading event? Sometimes we, on BookTube, we buddy read together as a community. There's all these kind of events. Jane Austen July, I mentioned. Faulkner in August. Shake Tube, where everybody's reading Shakespeare. And, Victorians in November, and just mystery, March Mystery Madness, and maybe Midrash. These kind of events where everybody's reading together. I know there's a lot of conversation going through those kind of reads. So what's your favorite? My favorite is maybe Midrash. We're right in the middle of it, right? I love spiritual reading. I love reading spiritual source material more than anything. So maybe Midrash, right up my alley. I enjoyed it and loved it last year, and I am enjoying it no less this year. Dario at Motley Reads, Tom L.A. Books, and Christy Louise Dostoevsky in Space has joined me for a series of wonderful talks already through Science and Faith, an adaptation that Tom had done of a book, an Italian book, and it is very, very awesome conversation. Check it out if you hadn't seen it. Number 8, can't stop. Who have you buddy read the most with? So, who I've buddy read the most with, it just depends. So, if we're talking about stories, individual stories, then it's Yasmin at To the Lit House, because we have gone through all of Borges' stuff, and while we're doing that, and after doing some of that, we've done As I Lay Dying, we did Pedro Paramo, and now we're doing Lathe of Heaven, and now we're doing Left Hand of Darkness by Ursula K. Le Guin as well. And so Yasmin for sure, but also if just novels, then Lukács at A Cruel Reader's Thesis. We have read Anna Karenina. We read David Copperfield together, and now we're doing Lathe of Heaven. He's in that read as well, and it is wonderful to read with you, brother. And I really appreciate and love people that have done multiple reads with me, because you really learn how somebody thinks and what their perspective is. Mark Nash, I've also done a couple of buddy reads with, more than one, and it's very, very fun. Number 9, let's go. Who do you want to buddy read with that you haven't buddy read with? And for me, that person is Pavia at Attention. I want to read something with you, brother, because you're definitely a thinker and maybe an overthinker, and I love that. Let's find something to read. I'd love to find something to read and for us to jump into a read and talk about it and get to it, do some explorative reading and all that. So thank you very much, BookTube, for this. I want to, number 10, make the prompt that whoever is tagged, whoever you're mentioning is tagged, might be the natural thing, but also you can just tag whoever you would like if you want to just tag somebody. I'm not going to pin it down, but I want to personally tag, to kick this off, anybody that I've ever buddy read with. I want to see everybody's perspective on the buddy reading and what you like, what you don't like, what your favorite things were, who you have read the most with, and memorable meeting of the minds kind of thing, and also when you were kind of, wow, like it's awesome meeting somebody who has such a different perspective than you do. So this is the place to explore that. So anybody who I've mentioned, you're definitely tagged, and anybody who has been in a buddy read with me is definitely tagged as well. And that means everybody. Thank you so much, BookTube. Catch you on the next one. Bye-bye.